po sa inyo and welcome to this video. Ngayon po ay ituturo ko sa inyo ang isa sa mga methods of solving quadratic equations, and that is by factoring. We have different methods of solving quadratic equations, pero ito kasing factoring is very common, especially in applications of quadratic equation. At meron akong isi-share sa inyo na isang technique on solving quadratic equations by factoring. And let us call this AC method. Pero bago ko i-discuss ano ba yung AC method na yan, let's start first with the simple quadratic equations. Remember, ang pinakaunang step in solving quadratic equation by factoring is kailangan ang given quadratic equation is in the standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. In other words, pag ang given quadratic equation ay wala sa form na yan, so kailangan muna nating i-rewrite or i-transform in the standard form. Meron po akong mga videos about sa standard form. Kung gusto niyo pong malaman ano itong standard form na to, and meron din po akong mga videos about transforming or rewriting quadratic equations in standard form. Mahalaga po kasi na yun muna yung matutunan ninyo bago kayo mag-solve ng quadratic equations by factoring. Kasi unang step natin yan. Kailangan ang isang quadratic equation must be in the standard form first. Itong mga examples ko, 1, 2, 3, 4, kung mapapansin ninyo, lahat po sila ay nasa standard form na. Pero gusto ko rin mapansin ninyo na lahat ito ay nasa form na x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Ano pong ibig sabihin? Yung value ng a is 1. So, kung makikita nyo po sa form, wala tayong numerical coefficients na a. So, that means the value of a is 1. So, bakit po? Kasi po, pag ganito ang form ng quadratic equation, madali lang yan masolve by factoring. Kasi, yung ating given expression, yung nasa left side natin, they are just a simple quadratic trinomial. At madali lang i-factor yung mga ganyang quadratic trinomial. Okay, let's start with the first one. So, first example natin, x squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. So, since nasa standard form na siya, so ang sunod natin gagawin ay ifa-factor natin itong ating left side na expression, which is x squared plus 6x plus 8. So, remember, pag finactor ang isang quadratic trinomial, ang factors niya ay laging dalawang binomials. So, ang una niyong gawin kaagad, gawa kayo ng dalawang binomials. But do not forget, kailangan naka-equate sa 0. Yan kasi nakakalimutan ng mga estudyante sa solution nila. Okay? So, ngayon, since we are looking for the binomial factors, paano ba natin kukunin yung binomial factors? So, una, since ang variable involved natin ay x, okay? So, lagay lang kayo dito ng x here, at saka another x here. So, x times x is equal to x squared. So, ngayon, para makuha natin yung second terms ng ating binomial factors, may isa lang kondisyon. Ano po yung kondisyon na yun? Okay, hanapin ninyo yung factors ng c ninyo o ng constant na pag pinag-add natin, ang magiging sagot ay 6. So, yun ang pinaka-condition. So, what are the factors of positive 8? Whose sum is positive 6. So, since panay positive lahat yan, so yung factors natin lahat positive. So ano yun? So we have your positive 4 at saka positive 2. Bakit po? Positive 4 times positive 2, the answer is positive 8. So pag pinag-add naman natin, positive 4 plus positive 2, ang magiging sagot ay positive 6. So yun ang kondisyon. So pwede kong magbaliktad dito. Pwede nandito yung positive 2, nandito yung positive 4. So that's the correct factors. So after kung ma-factor na yung left side expression natin, ang sunod na gagawin ay i-apply natin yung tinatawag na zero product property. By definition, ang zero product property states that if A times B is equal to 0, then A is equal to 0 or B is equal to 0. So, ano pong ibig sabihin nun? So, simple lang, kung ang product ng dalawang numbers is 0, ibig sabihin, isa doon ay 0 or pwedeng dalawa sila ay 0. So, sa madaling salita, we will just equate this factor or each factor to 0. So, gagawin natin, itong unang factor natin, x plus 4, equate lang natin yan sa 0. Okay? At ganun din yung pangalawang factor. So, we'll have x plus 2 equals 0. And then, isosolve na natin yung value ng x. Kasi ang hinahanap natin ay yung roots or yung values ng x. Kaya nga, pag sinabing solving quadratic equation, that means you are finding the roots or the solutions. At yun nga yung mga values ng variable involved. So, sa pagsusolve ng x dito, sa first factor natin, so, we just apply the addition or the subtraction property of equality. So, by transposing positive 4, magiging negative 4. So, x here is equal to negative 4. So, transpose lang yung positive 4 sa kabila. Pero, ang transposition kasi ay method. But it's an application of addition property of equality or the subtraction property of equality. So, ganun din ang gawin nyo sa pangalawang factor. So, x plus 2 is equal to 0. Solve for x. So, x is just equal to negative 2. So, transpose positive 2. So, x is negative 2. At ito po yung ating roots or solutions. Pwede po ninyong i-check yan by substituting this negative 4 in x here. And then, tingnan kung magiging true yung solution. Ganon din yung negative 2. So, importante po ang checking. So, let's have the second example. So, ganon din, since ito ay simple quadratic lang din at nasa standard form na siya. So, gawa lang uli ng dalawang binomials is equal to 0. And then we have here x and then another x here because x times x, that is x squared. Ngayon, ang technique po, kung makikita nyo sa unang example natin, panay positive. That's why, ang factors na kinonsider natin, parehas positive. Dito sa pangalawang example natin, yung b natin or yung middle term natin is negative. At yung constant term natin is positive. Pag ganyan po, positive yung dulo, negative yung gitna, ang i-consider yung factors ay dalawang negative. Bakit po? Kasi pag minultiply nyo si negative tsaka si negative, ang magiging sagot ay positive. At pag pinag-add ninyo, ang magiging sagot ay negative. Okay po? So, ano yung dalawang numbers na pag minultiply natin, ang magiging sagot ay positive 12, at pag pinag-add natin, ang magiging sagot ay negative 7. Tama. So, we have negative 4 at negative 3. Because negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12, and negative 4 plus negative 3 is negative 7. So, we have the correct factors. Ngayon, just like what we did here, we will solve for x applying the zero product property. Equate natin each factor to 0. Let's start with that's the first factor. So, x minus 4 equate to 0. Solve for x. So, x here is equal to positive 4. And that will be our first root. So, to get the other root, ganun din ang gagawin sa pangalawang factor. So, x minus 3 equates to 0. And solve for x. So, we have x is equal to positive 3. And this will be our roots for this quadratic equation. So, tandaan po ulit ha, kapag ka ang dulo ay positive at ang gitna ay negative, ang factors na i-consider natin ay dalawang negative. Pero, pag parehas positive, definitely, parehas din positive ang factors. Now, let's consider our third example here. Kung makikita nyo dito, sa pangatlong example ko, which is x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0, yung c natin is negative 15, which is negative. At yung b natin is positive 2. So, negative yung dulo, yung gitna positive. Pag ganyan, ang i-consider nating factors ay isang positive at isang negative. So, ganun pa rin ang gagawin natin. So, gawa kayo ng dalawang binomials equals to 0. Since this is negative, so first we have your x and another x here. Since this is negative, so ang factors natin isang positive at isang negative. Bakit po? Kasi positive times negative is negative. So, tandaan lagi, pag ang dulo ay negative, ang factors that you will consider are positive and negative. Laging unlike signs. Para pag minultiply ninyo, ang sagot ay negative. So, ngayon, ano ang kondisyon? Kailangan, yung dalawang numbers na yon, pag pinag-add ninyo, ang sagot ay positive 2. And what are the factors of negative 15 whose sum is positive 2? So, we have positive 5 and negative 3. Bakit po? Positive 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. At pag pinag-add natin yan, positive 5 plus negative 3, ang sagot ay positive 2. Ito tanong, pwede bang pagbaliktarin ko to? Nandito si positive 3 at dito si negative 5. Mali po yung factors pag ganon. Kasi pag si 5 ay naging negative at si 3 ay positive, pag pinag-add mo yun, ang magiging sagot ay negative 2, which is not equal to your b or sa gitna. So, yun ang kondisyon. So, ito po yung tamang factors. So, pag na-factor out na, just like what we did here, apply the zero product property. So, equate each factor to 0. So, x plus 5 equate to 0. And now, solve for x. So, x is equal to positive 5. Itatranspose, so magiging negative 5. And that will be your first root. For the second root, second factor, equate to 0. So, we have x minus 3 equals 0. So, solve for x. So, x transpose negative 3. So, x is equal to positive 3. And that is your second root or solution. Okay? Tandaan po natin, pag ang dulo ay negative, automatic ang factors that we have to consider ay isang positive at isang negative. Okay, let's consider our last example here. So, gawa uli ng dalawang binomial factors is equal to 0. So, we have your x, another x here. Again, just like this number 3, since ang dulo natin ay negative, ganun pa rin. Ang factors na i-consider natin ay isang positive at isang negative pa din. And what are the factors of negative 20 na pag pinag-add natin ang magiging sagot ay negative 8? So we have positive 2 and negative 10. Check nga natin. So positive 2, multiply natin sa negative 10, ang sagot ay negative 20. At pag pinag-add mo sila, positive 2 plus negative 10, the answer is negative 8. So, ang factors natin, correct. And then, after that, apply the zero product property. So, x plus 2 equates sa 0. Solve for x. So, x here is equal to negative 2. And that will be your first root. For the second root, so we have x minus 10 equate to 0. Solve for x. So, x is equal to transpose negative 10, positive 10. And that is your second root. So, ito po ay madali lang masolve by factoring. At tandaan nyo po yung technique natin ng pagpa-factor dito. Kasi mamaya, sa example natin sa AC method, ia-apply natin yung technique ng factoring nito. Simple quadratic trinomial. Okay, start na tayo sa AC method. Ano ba yung sinasabi ko dito ng AC method? So, magbibigay ako ngayon sa inyo ng isang example. Let's take this. Okay, ayan, na-erase na natin ang board. So, let's have an example for this. Suppose we have here 3x squared plus 8x plus 4 is equal to 0. Ngayon, kung i-compare natin ito dun sa previous examples natin kanina, ang value ng a natin, hindi na 1. So, meron na tayong 3 dito. So, which is 3x squared plus 8x plus 4 equals 0. At yung left side ngayon natin is now a somewhat complicated trinomial. Hindi kagaya kanina, ang tawag natin kasi doon ay simple quadratic trinomial. Ito medyo complicated. So, ganun pa rin ang ating method, factoring. Kaya lang, pag ganito na kasi ang ating terms, ang usual way na ginagamit dyan sa pagpa-factor niyan ay yung trial and error. So, yung magta-try ka ng factors, and then, check mo, i-multiply mo by FOIL method, and then, tingnan mo kung tama yung factors. So, trial and error. Pero, itong AC method na sinasabi ko sa inyo, hindi tayo magta-trial ng marami. Sa madaling salita, yung technique ng factoring natin, yung kaninang ginagawa natin, yung simple quadratic trinomial. So, paano ba itong AC method? So, kaya ko siya tinawag na AC method from the term itself, AC. Anong ibig sabihin ng AC? Product ng A and C. Take note, in our example here, ang A natin ay 3. So, our A is 3. Okay? And our C is the constant term C, which is 4. So, pag sinabi natin AC, that means we multiply 3 times 4, and that is 12. So, that's why it's called AC. AC means A times C. So, in other words, i-multiply natin si A at saka si C. So, 3 times 4 is 12. Bakit? Ito po. Ang una niyong gagawin is, tanggalin muna si A. So, i-rewrite ninyo ang inyong equation without A. So, we will have x squared plus 8x plus, ang ilalagay niyong pinaka-constant nyo ay si AC, which is 3 times 4, and that is 12. And that is equal to 0. So, yun po yung nadagdag na step. Ulitin natin. So, tanggalin muna si A. So, magiging x squared plus 8x plus, ang ilalagay sa dulo is AC, which is 3 times 4. And that is 12. Ngayon, kung mapapansin ninyo, yung ating left side na quadratic trinomial ay naging simple quadratic trinomial na lang. Kagaya ng example natin kanina. So, in other words, madali na siyang ma-factor. So, paano natin uli ipa-factor yan? Kagaya ng ginagawa natin kanina, so gagawa lang tayo ng dalawang binomial factors. So, equals to 0. So, it's x pa din. So, lahat positive, therefore, dalawang positive. So, ano yung factors ng 12 whose sum is 8? So, we have positive 6 at positive 2. Kasi 6 times 2 is positive 12 and 6 plus 2 is positive 8. So, the same procedure po. Solve for x by applying the zero product property. So, we have x plus 6 equals 0. Okay? Or, the other factor, x plus 2 equals 0. So, solve for x for each factor. So, x is equal to what? Negative 6. So, tinranspose si positive 6. So, yan yung value ng x natin. Pero, ito yung nadagdag sa AC method. Kanina, yan na yung roots natin. Hindi pa po ito yung roots. Pag AC method, etong value ng x natin na nasolve natin na negative 6, i-divide pa natin yan by our A, which is 3. So, i-divide natin yan by 3. So, x now is equal to negative 6 divided by 3. It's divisible, so therefore, it's negative 2. And that will be your final first root. So, for the second factor, solve for x. So, we have x is equal to, transpose positive 2, this will become negative 2. Again, pag nasolve na si x, i-divide yung value ng x sa a. Kagaya ng ginawa natin dito sa una. So, i-divide natin yan by 3. Ang kaibahan nito, ito divisible, kaya dinivide natin. Pero ito, si negative 2 is not divisible by 3. So, ibig sabihin, ang sagot natin na pangalawang root is a fraction. So, yan po yung AC method. So, ulitin natin yung steps natin. Una, kailangan dapat nasa standard form yung ating quadratic equation. So, pag nasa standard form na, i-rewrite yung ating quadratic equation ng walang A. So, and then, yung magiging last term ninyo, yung constant ninyo, is AC. Which is, i-multiply ninyo si A by C. Then, after nyan, if a factor out nyo na, yung simple quadratic trinomial, and then, solve for x using or applying the zero product property. At pag nakuha na yung value ng x, i-divide pa by A, which is 3. Here. So, pag divisible, i-divide. Pero pag hindi divisible, fraction ang sagot, pero i-lowest term kung pwedeng i-lowest term. So, yan na po yung ating roots. So, maganda siguro i-check natin. So, let us verify kung tama ba ito, mga nakuha nating roots. Check natin. So, let's have check. Okay? First, 4x is equal to negative 2. So, pag mag-check kayo, i-replace niyo yung value ng x na nakuha nyo, yung root, sa original. So, we have here 3 times, ang x natin is negative 2. So, negative 2 square. Okay? Plus 8 times Again, x is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 4 is equal to 0. Is that equal to 0 kaya? Let us see. So what is negative 2 square? Negative 2 square is positive 4. That's negative 2 times negative 2. So positive 4 times 3, right? And then we have here positive 8 times negative 2, that is negative 16. Okay? Plus 4, is that equal to 0? Let's see. So 3 times 4 is 12. Right? Plus negative 16 plus 4, is that equal to 0? Let's continue. What is 12 plus negative 16? Or 12 minus 16? That is negative 4 plus 4. Is that equal to 0? And what is negative 4 plus 4? That is 0 is equal to 0. Check. So, ibig sabihin, tama yung unang nakuha nating roots, which is negative 2. Ang tanong, how about si negative 2/3? Let us see. Check natin for x equals negative 2/3. So, burahin muna natin to. Okay? At this point, our value of x is negative 2/3. Let us see. So again, using the original equation, so 3 times x is negative 2/3, so negative 2/3 squared, okay, plus 8 times, again x is negative 2/3, so negative 2 over 3, okay, plus 4, is that equal to 0? Okay, let us see. So what is negative 2/3 square? That is negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4 over 3 times 3 is 9. So negative 2/3 squared is 4 over 9. So times 3 plus 8 times negative 2/3 plus 4, is that equal to 0? Let us see. So here, we can cancel out 3 and 9 because they are divisible by 3. So, cancel na to. So, 9 will become 3. So, magiging 4 over 3. Okay, here, we cannot cancel 8 by 3. So, all we need to do is to multiply this. So, 8 times negative 2. Ang sagot ay negative 16 over 3. Kasi positive 8 times negative 2 is negative 16 over 3. And then we have plus 4. Is that equal to 0? Since similar fraction, so we can subtract 4 minus 16, that is negative 12, over the common denominator, which is 3, plus 4. Is that equal to 0? Question is, what is negative 12 divided by 3? That is negative 4 plus 4 is equal to 0. What is negative 4 plus 4? That is what? 0 equals 0. So that means our root negative 2/3 satisfies. Ibig sabihin, true siya sa equation natin. So ibig sabihin yan, tama yung nakuha natin roots. So, bibigyan ko pa po kayo ng isa pang example. Okay? So, let us consider this number 2 example. Suppose we have 4x squared minus 12x plus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, again, nasa standard form na siya. So, hindi na natin kailangang i-rewrite pa sa standard form. So, gamitin natin ang AC method. Anong unang step natin? So, i-rewrite yung ating expression, yung equation natin, without A first. So, tatanggalin si A. So, magiging x squared minus 12x. And then, ang magiging last term natin will be AC. That is 4 times positive 5 is positive 20. So, is equal to 0. So, ito na ngayon ang ating ipa-factor out. Simple quadratic trinomial. So, we have 2 binomial factors equals to 0. So, we have your x and another x here. So, kagaya kanina sa previous examples ko, pag yung dulo natin positive at yung gitna negative, so ang factors natin, dalawang negative. So, ano yung factors ng 20 na pag pinag-add natin, ang sagot ay negative 12. So, we have negative 10 and negative 2. So, solve for x here, applying the zero product property. So, we have x minus 10 is equal to 0, or x minus 2 is equal to 0. Solve for x here. So, x is equal to, transpose negative 10, magiging negative or positive 10. At, pag na-solve na si x, i-divide by a. Ano ang a natin? 4. So, divide it by 4. And remember, si 10 ay hindi divisible by 4. So, ang sagot natin, fraction. Pero, pwede siyang ma-lowest term. So, ano ang lowest term ng 10 over 4? That is 5 over 2. So, divide by 2. So, 10 divided by 2 is 5. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And that is your first root. 5 over 2. For the second one, we have here, solve for x. So, x transpose negative 2. This will become x is equal to positive 2. Divide again by a, which is 4. And again, 2/4, not divisible. So, we need to reduce it to lowest term. So, x is equal to, what is the lowest term of 2/4? That is 1/2. And this will be our second root. And these are our roots. So, pwede nyo pong i-check yan, i-verify by substituting these values of x in our original equation. Okay? So, let's have another example. Suppose we have here 6x squared plus 13x minus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, let's use again the AC method. So, ano ulit ang gagawin natin? Si 6, tatanggalin muna si a, i-rewrite. So, magiging x squared plus 13x. So, now, tingnan nyo po. Ang ating c here is negative. So, pag multiply natin si 6 tsaka si negative 5, ang magiging sagot ay negative. Because this is positive times negative is negative. So, 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. Is equal to 0. And then, solve it now by factoring. Simple quadratic. So, 2 binomial factors equals to 0. So, we have your x again. Another x here. And since, kagaya kanina ng examples ko, since negative ito, so ang factors that we will consider ay isang positive at isang negative. So, ano yung factors ng negative 30 na isang positive at isang negative? Pag pinag-add natin, ang sagot ay 13. So, we have positive 15 at negative 2. Because, positive 15 times negative 2 is negative 30. So, solving for x, so we have x plus 15 equals to 0. Okay? The second factor, x minus 2 equals to 0. So, let's solve for x here. X is equal to negative 15. Pag na-solve na si x, ano ang last step? I-divide by a. Ano ang a natin dito? 6. Therefore, divide it by 6. So, final answer, x is equal to what? 15 is not divisible by 6. So, ilo-lowest term lang natin. So, common factor nila ay 3. So, divide natin by 3. Remember, this is negative. So, therefore, negative 15 divided by 3 is 5. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. Therefore, our final answer is negative 5 over 2. Okay, for the second one, so solve for x here. So x is equal to, transpose negative 2 will become positive 2. After ma-solve si x, i-divide by a, which is 6. And, hindi divisible. So, ilo-lowest term. So, what is x? That is 1/3. They are both divisible by 2. So, therefore, this is our root, number 2. And these are our roots. And again, you can verify these roots. Check nyo siya by substituting this to the original equation. So, yan po ay AC method. So, isa lang yan sa mga technique kung paano mapadali ang pagsosolve by factoring. Pero, meron pong disadvantage itong AC method. So, ano po ba ang disadvantage niya? Ito po. Pag di ba, remember, ang AC, minumultiply natin si A at saka si C. So, ang disadvantage, pag minultiply natin si A at saka si C, naging malaking numbers, let's say naging hundreds yan. At pag malaki ang number, maraming factors, so mahirap hanapin yung mga factors. Yun lang yung disadvantage niya. So, kaya maganda rin na matutunan din ninyo yung trial and error. Pero kung mga ganitong quadratic trinomials lang naman, so I think mas madali ang AC method. Sana po ay may natutunan kayo sa method na sinare ko sa inyo. Maraming salamat po.